What if the greatest shipwreck in history didn't happen the way we've been told? What if the Titanic didn't hit an iceberg at all? That's exactly what some survivors claimed, and were ignored for over a century. Eugene Daly, a third-class passenger, said it wasn't a crash, it felt like an explosion. Margaret Devaney described a deep, unnatural rumble just before the ship began to list. Fourth Officer Joseph Boxhall said he never saw an iceberg that night. "I was told there was one," he admitted. Even crew members testified that what they felt didn't match an ice impact. They described an internal force, not a collision. So here's the uncomfortable question. If these people lived through the sinking and they're all saying the same thing, why did history bury their version of the story? Here's something your history teacher never told you. Titanic was already damaged before she left port. A fire had broken out deep in her coal bunker, Boiler Room 6, and it burned for days, weakening the metal along the starboard hull. This is the exact area where the ship would later rupture and flood. Charles Hendrickson, one of the firemen aboard, said they were ordered to keep quiet and shovel around the blaze. Imagine this: thousands of tons of steel, already compromised by heat, slamming into icy water at full speed. That's not an accident waiting to happen. That's a death sentence. Survivors later reported smoke, not cold air, flames, not ice. And yet the world kept repeating one story: iceberg, iceberg, iceberg. But the fire was real, it was documented, and it changes everything. Now, what if the Titanic wasn't the Titanic at all? Some believe that the ship which sank was actually her nearly identical sister, the RMS Olympic. Olympic had been severely damaged in a previous collision and was considered too expensive to repair and too risky to insure. The theory? White Star Line secretly swapped the ships, disguised Olympic as Titanic, and sent her out on a doomed voyage to sink and collect the insurance. The evidence? Multiple survivors noticed small design inconsistencies. One steward said, "This wasn't the same ship I trained on." Plus, Olympic was dry docked just weeks before Titanic's maiden voyage. Plenty of time for a quick repaint, plate swap, and media distraction. And who benefited? The company, the insurers, and anyone desperate enough to bury a broken ship with a new name. Suddenly, the iceberg sounds like the perfect alibi. Over 1,500 lives were lost, and yet the loudest voices, the survivors themselves, were forgotten, dismissed, or silenced. They told us about vibrations, explosions, fire, and smoke. They told us they didn't see any iceberg. And still, the narrative stayed fixed. Why? Because sometimes truth is inconvenient. Because acknowledging an internal blast, a cover-up, or a ship swap would have shattered reputations and bankrupted empires. But here's what matters now. Their voices still echo. Through court records, survivor memoirs, and forgotten newspaper articles, their truth is still out there, waiting to be heard. So ask yourself this: what really sank the Titanic? Was it an iceberg, or was it something far more disturbing? If you believe survivors deserve to be heard, share this video. Because history doesn't change with silence, it changes when we ask the questions no one wants answered. Thanks for watching, and share. Subscribe my channel.